Meet Our Maker, Fnatic versus Wildcard, map number 2.
Quickly into the ban phase here, and Capital going to be off the board. Straight away, we did see Capital banned as well on the last map, such a versatile operator in the current meta, so no real surprises to see him off the board.
Yeah, it was Fnatic who has been historically banning Capital quite a lot, so I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't see Wildcard ban out the Nomad or the Gridlock, because Fnatic are a team who are known to run both of those flank watch operators simultaneously. Fnatic bans Maverick on Villa. That's kind of weird. That's what Wildcard banned last time they played Villa. In fact, it was last week against Oddity. Mind you, Wildcard actually lost this map last week to Oddity. So that's a really recent map score. And smoke ban is something we very rarely see. That is something that Wildcard have actually really struggled with. Early in the season, they played a match against Sinister on Coastline, and Sinister banned smoke, specifically to target ban Diesel, one of their players. And Wildcard lost that match. It was the first match that they'd lost all season. There is a potential that is going to throw an absolute spanner in the works for Wildcard.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's not a smoke ban, it's a Diesel ban. When Diesel's on fire with smoke, he can take on anyone. We saw he had glimpses of that at the R6 Masters, wide peak and everything when he had the opportunity, but he's going to have to adapt now. He won't be able to fall back to his favourite op.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a lot of Villa recently for Fnatic. We did see it at the Six Masters, and they lost it to Oddity. So both of these teams have lost Villa to Oddity in recent memory. And they both lost at the same scoreline, 5-7. So, you know how you can sometimes use a different team as a reference, right? These teams both had the same score against Oddity. They're really even on Villa by comparison. I don't know whether that's going to translate into the actual game here, because honestly, this match isn't coming down to the big decisions like the map picks. This match is coming down to individuals stepping up when it's needed most.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be more of a battle of stamina and endurance and mental fortitude as opposed to purely raw skill. Both teams will be quite tired coming off the back of a 6-6. They're going to be drained. They're going to be, on top of that, nervous as well with the looming prospect of them not making the APAC finals. So there's a lot playing on their minds. They need to be able to focus here and just focus on the job, their role, what they've prepped for, and just let those distractions fly away a little bit.
We talked about how if Fnatic lose both of the maps in this series, then their certainty in APAC finals is out of their hands. It'll rely on Oddity or Wildcard messing up in their games on Thursday. But now we're kind of almost into that position with Wildcard, right? If Wildcard win a map here, then it's very likely we'll see Fnatic and Wildcard to be the two teams to go to APAC finals, and Oddity will be the ones to miss out. That's all pending the results on Thursday. If Wildcard don't win here, if we see 2 draws or we see a draw and a loss for Wildcard, that's really, really a scary place to be.
It will be the case as Emo actually going to get Specker off the board. So Specker, on probably arguably his favourite operator so far, has been taken out. I don't know
where on earth was that as well? On the balcony, a really good pre-fire, a long one as well for Emo. In the past, when we talk to Specker in these interviews, he always says his confidence is so important to him. And he feels so confident as soon as he gets that first kill in a game. And he doesn't have that yet. And in fact, being the first pick in a game is surely something that just sits you back flat down on your ass and makes him really just frustrated.
Yeah, I feel like Wildcard thrive particularly on their defense when they get an opening frag. Occasionally, we've seen them struggle, particularly when sort of the man count is even later in the rounds. But if they can get that early pick, particularly such a strong frag like Specker, that's going to instill them with confidence. They'll be able to go for slightly riskier plays now, knowing they have that man advantage. As we head to the midpoint of the round, it's working so far for them. They haven't, they've still got all 5 men on the board. They haven't dropped someone yet, and Fnatic really struggling to progress towards the bomb site here.
Ethan does find 1 kill as well, with Neofighter on site, toying with the idea of peeking towards Magnet, but he knows that he'll probably lose that fight. Wildcard have also defaulted both of their players back to site. Neophyte is actually tempted to keep peeking this angle. It's his former teammate, of course, and Magnet surely wins this fight if Neo gets overzealous on it. But Magnet has a lot of trigger discipline.
Yeah, Magnet lying prone at this door for so long. If he gets wide pegged here, he could be in a lot of trouble. Potentially, Emerin on the bar. They try and bait out the shots, and Magnet takes a little bit of damage in the process, but he's able to fall back, pick up that diffuser, and he's still going to hold this angle in towards Aviator. Lusty and Virtue, his teammates alongside, trying to help him out, but they don't really seem to be in impactful positions. Wildcard, they're just holding steady, and we've seen this so often. They're willing to play passive. They're just going to hold back, and they're going to force Fnatic into the mistakes.
There's still quite a bit of time, though, for Fnatic to work with. And they do have that study control. Lusty's opened up angles onto Aviator to make it very difficult for Wildcard to play in there. But Wildcard have the numbers advantage, and that's really what can make the difference if they double peak some of the Fnatic players. If Fnatic want to force this plant down, they'll only have 2 players up with guns in their hands, and they know that. That's why Magnet doesn't want to go for this plant. But he has to at this point. There's no time left. Lusty's good cover, but it's a fairly small magazine. It's a quick rush through. There's a team kill for Lusty. It's now a 1 versus 3. No diffuser on the ground, and there you go. Wildcard make it happen. It was pretty close though, and hats off to Fnatic, but Wildcard, that early round dominance absolutely bled through to the end.
Yeah, the smoke there into the rotate allowed Fnatic to get in towards the side and try and initiate that plant. Unfortunately, they weren't quite able to cover it in the end, as Lusty here on this hole was able to get a really nice shot, but a team kill in the process. Was that onto Magnet there he was planting that he hit? Because that's what it looked like.
I thought it
or was it just the
I thought
Evil
it was
Eye?
the Jackal. I think the Evil Eye killed Magnet, and he killed the Jackal, but I might have been wrong. I mean, to be honest, like that plant wouldn't have gone down either way, right? And Wildcard, I think the key to that was keeping the numbers advantage for so long, and really having the ability to, as we saw at the end, literally just charge all of your players to rush the plants up, because all they have to do really is deny the plant. It was so good from Wildcard. And interestingly, they're not going to go to Statuary and Trophy next. They're going to head down to Kitchen. This is a map where we've actually seen quite a lot of bomb site variation. And Kitchen tends to be pretty powerful bomb site. Yeah,
the Villa meta continues to evolve. I feel like early in the Pro League days, it wasn't really a favoured map. It was played out a bit weird, but as the teams have sort of felt it out a little bit more and understood the map more, we've seen it really develop into quite a competitive map, really. I'm thinking it's up with the likes of almost Coastline. It can really be that competitive sometimes, especially depending on how the teams decide to distribute their site choices. So going to Kitchen, not traditional, but we'll have to see how Wildcard goes about defending it.
I mean, this is a map where there's so much potential for vertical play, especially on this Kitchen bomb site. Holding above is a massive point of contention, as we can see Wildcard already establishing themselves up here with Neo. Information gathering on the Legion mines. Derpek can assist from below as well. He spots out a lot of Fnatic players downstairs in the cellar. That's a really good bit of information to have. There's also information denial from Wildcard with those mute jammers. There's so much information being gathered by Derp here, and Diesel plays off of that perfectly. Really well played by Wildcard to put a brick wall in front of Fnatic's plan.
Yeah, that position being established by Derp is so strong. You can see so much of the map using that cardiac sensor. And Kitchen is often approached from above, so being able to gather that intel from below, throw out C4s to kill any of those attackers with the soft reach could be potentially impactful, but Virtue's made his way towards side. He manages to get that one, but the refrag will come out quick, fast from Derp, so well played by him. That was an essential refrag.
So very essential to shut Virtue down. Lusty, though, does make an entry and finds one too. Fnatic, after being put onto the back foot, they know they need to absolutely step up massively. Magnet does take one down, and now Fnatic are allowed to force this diffuser down. This round has been turned on its head, but this could be a flank opportunity. Neophyter does take down Lusty after the plan. Magnet also gets tagged up very heavily, but he's going to go below. Specker as well on this flank. Neophyter has to step it up. This is doable, but very difficult.
Yeah, Neophyter has to take on two very worthy opponents. Specker in particular in such a difficult position, but he misses the initial shots. Neo could make him pay here. But it looks like Fnatic are going to take a pretty passive approach here. Specker flashes him in the meanwhile. And it looks like the chance is gone now for Neo. I thought initially he could have got it. It's looking so difficult now. He gets the headshot though onto Specker. And it's all up to him to go for the counter defuse. Magnet so close, can just play very passively here. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He reads into the play. And Fnatic take round number 2.
Now we're evened up as well. It was a really good start for Wildcard. They took out Rizraz trying to push up through the cellar, but I think Fnatic realized that the key to taking that bomb site away from Wildcard was just good entries and individual entries. Wildcard did a really good job of preventing Rizraz from pushing up the cellar, but they weren't actually covering every single possibility for Fnatic. Even Virtue making an entry, he got one pick and then got traded. You'd think, oh, that was a failure by Fnatic, but they just kept doing that. Over and over, it was Fnatic pushing one player in through one avenue, always getting those refrags from different places.
Yeah, that strategy was so dependent on Derp on the pulse gathering intel. But as you mentioned, if you're just rushing in from the opposite direction, there is no opportunity for Pulse to gather that information, to give it to his teammates, and for them to even react to the shot. I mean, it was over like in a snap. There was nothing that Wildcard could do. They did get the refrag, but it was enough to off-put them, and they weren't able to go for the hold that they initially planned.
On top of that, right, you can only get information on the Pulse while you have the cardiac sensor out, and the Pulse was busy trying to kill Virtue. He got the refrag onto his teammate who died in Kitchen, then he wasn't on his Pulse scanner, someone pushed in through, I think you call it laundry, and took him out.
We are going to see Derp though on the Pulse once again. This time he's playing over towards the library, trying to find some drones. Fnatic. I was talking to actually a member of Fury the other day, Spruce, when he was on the squad, and he was talking about how at the Masters when they were playing Coastline, they could not find the Fnatic drones to save themselves. So maybe Wildcard are aware of that. They're looking for the sneakiest positions because drones can be put in the smallest of places and gather so much intel, and you can be completely unaware that you're being actually called out to the opposite team.
Keeping your drones alive is hugely undervalued. That preparation phase drone especially. It's not just used for going into the bomb site or going into the room where you want to make an entry. You set up your drones around the map, watching rotations, tracking player positions. It's so essential. A Fnatic trying to open up this wall, but Thatcher will enable that in a moment as the mute jammer was preventing the Hibana pellets. Rizraz does make that nice and easy for his team. Now, that's a really good angle being opened up by Fnatic into Kitchen now. We saw how quickly the game can turn if Fnatic decide to step up.
Yeah, it looks like Specker will be the sole member of Fnatic to push above as he's getting droned in. Lusty off screen will get Neo. So that's Legion off the board. That's some critical utility that will be taken out late round. It won't be the end of Wildcard though. They still have plenty of potential left in the roster. But those goo mines can cause a lot of issues late round, and unfortunately, he wouldn't have been able to place too many of them as he died quite early.
Specker on his lonesome pushing upstairs now. We know that Wildcard do invest quite heavily upstairs, Ethan and Emo in together. But I'm not sure if they're wary of Specker's position. There's also a player on the master balcony. Ethan has such a cheeky angle here. But if he loses this gunfight, it could mean everything. He decides to get out of there. Fnatic pushing much harder now onto the top floor. Just over a minute left, and there's a good frag from Diesel. Pre-placed C4 takes out the Nomad. A really clever spot there. He goes flying. That's a great Fnatic skin, though, that he was wearing.
Yeah, a minute to go now. Both members have 4 players remaining, and it's going to be left all up for Fnatic to just spearhead the site by the looks of things. Virtue will probably go for an entry. Once he is droned clear, he's going to actually go below here. So an interesting positional change there from the Fnatic fragger, and maybe he's coming up for a late play. I'm not quite sure.
I think he was just looking for those flank players. And no, actually Virtue's going all the way up. He's going to come up through the kitchen stairs. Diesel spotted out now. He has the shotgun, and Virtue does find a kill on that roam downstairs. Ethan goes down. Flashbang's going to try and aid his entry, but Diesel's going to have to duel with Specker here. Diesel gets the best of him. Now Virtue's going to have to be the fragger to step up. So close to one player, but he doesn't see him. Derper gets the better of him. Fnatic, the last 2 players, get into the objective. A great shot for Lusty, but it might not be enough. 2 great shots for Lusty. That could well be enough. 1 player left. It's Emo on the castle. He has to find this initial frag, but he can't get it. The Fnatic skin is too good, and Rizraz takes down Emo. Fnatic on the cusp of really establishing their dominance on this attack.
Yeah, Fnatic showing up when it counts. It was so close in the final stages of that round, but Lusty going absolutely massive, taking on those gunfights at close range with the ACOG, not the percentage play. Of course, he was running Hibana as well, so such a small clip. But wow, that was a fantastic little setup there. The cover as well for the plant, phenomenal too. So Fnatic starting to get that ball rolling, and we were talking about this earlier on Coastline. Once that ball starts rolling, it's pretty hard to stop it.
Exactly. I mean, Fnatic have looked so good. Once they really step up, It's almost like a reverse of what we saw on Coastline. Wildcard time and time again were winning these attacks where they really shouldn't have, where they had no time left, where they had the numbers disadvantage. And Fnatic are doing the same thing. That was a 2 versus 4 clutch, I think. And Fnatic are really stepping up on these attacks. Wildcard now are allowed to go back to their primary objective, Aviator games. This was a huge struggle for Fnatic. I wonder if Wildcard win this objective, will they try a different bomb site other than Kitchen? We'll have to wait and see. For now, I think the focus is just making sure they can get a repeat win on this bomb site, Aviator.
Yeah, quick peek at the scoreboard there, and Lusty 6 and 1. Phenomenal performance so far. That's an average of 2 kills around, which at this level is pretty phenomenal. Anything above 1 really is impactful. So to be having that average of 2 kills around is pretty impressive. So well done by him so far, but Fnatic, they can't rely on just a one-man effort. They need to cohesively work as a team. So hopefully they don't rely on him too much here.
I think it's just coming down to those clutch situations. Lusty is the perfect person to be in that position. And I mean, it's so important to be able to frag on those support operators. And I think Hibana is a great example of an operator that can do that as well.
You're a bit of a Hibana fan, aren't you, Debbie? Come on.
I love Hibana. Hibana is my favorite operator.
Maybe you should ask Lusty for some tips.
Maybe I should.
Meanwhile, though, we are 30 seconds into the round, of course, and Wildcard, they're just prodding around trying to find where these members of Fnatic are. Is that someone on the stairs there to the left of Ethan?
It's a stare of death right now. Ethan and Virtue. Neophyter needs to not expose himself. Neophyter could very well just bait his position out, but he doesn't need that to happen. Ethan does take down Magnet. That is the gridlock. Good shots for him. He does take a tiny bit of damage, but not really anything meaningful. Fnatic do have this north side control, however, now. It's a good first step.
Interestingly enough, Wildcard opting not to bring the Pulse onto this site, so maybe not playing into their position well. As Neophyter gets 1, Virtue will get 1 for Fnatic. 3 versus 4 in favour of Wildcard, though, so definitely a winnable position, but Virtue's on the board, Dev, and we know what that means.
Oh, yeah. They have this roam cleared now, but last time Fnatic tried to attack this bomb site, they had to deal with Wildcard in a numbers advantage as they attempted to collapse. That may well be the bane of them. Virtue's going to get super aggressive. Surely Wildcard won't expect this, but he does get taken down. He misses those crucial shots, and it was the bailiff of all things from Derper. Lusty, though, does get a spray through the wall, somehow dragging it back for Fnatic. Every time it looks like Wildcard can step up, Fnatic are there.
Yeah, Lusty and Riz left with it all to do. They have a minute on the board, so they have a bit of time to play with. But whether or not they'll be able to take on those camping inside of the site, we'll have to wait and see. They're in such strong positions. They're going to set up crossfires, and it's going to be so hard with that man disadvantage, isn't it, Dev?
But they've done it before, and I'm sure they can do it again. Lusty has been on fire today. 7-1 currently. As he pushes up, he can take out that information gathered. But there's still an Evil Eye, I believe, down the hallway. Lusty will try to dislodge these key positions. How much information does Wildcard have? That's the question. Lusty only has 1 more X-Kairos. He's going to try to expose as many of these site positions as he possibly can. Impact Trick won't work for Derper, and there is a tiny hole to expose him on Aviator. 20 seconds left. This is still very doable for Fnatic. Yeah,
that hole is just enough to dislodge the defense a little bit. Wildcard going to be very, very mindful of that. But they seem to have fallen back to safer positions, so probably not all bad. 10 seconds on the board. Lusty tries to enter, but he gets taken down. Rizraz makes his way in towards Aviator, who kicks 1 onto Derpe, and he's going to try and make his way in towards Vault. But there's too many angles for him to watch. He's going to be unsuccessful in this round. And there we go. Wildcard are bringing it back.
It was a great idea from Fnatic, especially Lusty, to expose those key positions before he made his entry, but really it was just such a big risk, and they're relying on individuals being able to bite off a huge chunk of the pie, and Wildcard aren't going to let that happen. They win those gunfights. Really well played for Wildcard as well, I've got to say. As soon as the Hibana opened those positions, Wildcard played safe. They moved, they relocated, they got into very safe positions and just held the angles where they knew Fnatic had to push. We are neck and neck here on Villa. So hard to call whether this is an attacker or defensive side of map. I honestly just feel like we're going to end a 3-3 half and then end a 6-6 game. I don't know if it's too premature to call it, but these teams are so neck and neck.
How many people voted for the draw? Was it 8%?
Yeah, 8%.
Those 8% could be pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, Man, there's a lot of Fnatic fans, though. I mean, there's a huge amount of Fnatic fans that are going to be disappointed with anything less than a victory here. Especially after such a tight contest at the Six Masters finals, where Fnatic did get that win, mind you, over Wildcard. You know, these teams are the two giants of ANZ. There is no disputing that. But this isn't really a contest of who's better right now. That's not what we're trying to find out today. We're trying to find out who is going to get enough points to guarantee themselves APAC finals. And I think Wildcard are the ones that are under the microscope there, because they're currently in third position on the standings. Oddity is in first. And if Oddity win their match on Thursday against Fury, if they win both of them, then Wildcard need to get a victory, not a draw, a victory on this map in order to make it to those finals.
It's a scary prospect, isn't it?
I mean, or Fnatic have to lose to Sinister on Thursday, which could happen.
You never know.
Yeah. I mean, this is all hedging on Wildcard and Fnatic, and Oddity, mind you, performing really well on Thursday in their respective matches against Cryptic, Sinister, and Fury. And they've got the order right there. But this really is such an important game for these two teams. They can't let any points slip by them.
This will be the first time we're seeing Trophy so far on this map as Specker makes his way towards the site. So a little bit of a mix-up here in objective choice. Specker, the second he looked at the camera there, got peeked. He was pretty lucky to get away with that one. Actually hits himself there with his own utility and hits a goo mine as well. So Specker in the walls a little bit at the moment. He's going to have Ethan to contest with as he's trying to hold that southern side of the map. It looks like the rest of Fnatic pushing through, and Virtue's already made his way in towards Astra. He'll get in towards the B side. He gets a flank onto Diesel. Mozzie off the board. Neo's low as well. He could go for that frag, but he won't. He gets taken down. He actually is by Neo as he drops the hatch. Derpe follows it up onto Riz. And it's just like that. It's a 3 versus 3. Specker finally clears aim over in Lusty, getting aggressive as well. We've seen him so strong this evening on the Hibana. And there we go. Neo finally taken out.
Now the plant going down. It's Lusty. Flanks being held, but can this plant be denied? He gets off the plant at the perfect moment, but it's still not enough to save him. Just 2 players left for Fnatic, and they're not really in good positions to capitalize. Wildcard do have the diffuser in their clutches right now, but Fnatic are resting on their haunches. They have to springboard here and get back into the game.
This is going to be a test of synergy. Who has the best partnership here? Is it Magnet and Specker? Or is it Derpe and Ethan? Both in vulnerable positions in some respects. So it's going to come down to who can work together the best. Specker, we know he can frag out. He could get a kill on here to Derpe. He was rotating through Astro. He gets the kill. Ethan gets aggressive to try and refrag, but he will be unsuccessful. And Fnatic take round number 5.
Such essential kills there for Specker. Really well read as well on both those player positions. Got so close for Wildcard, but Fnatic, they just don't care about convention at all on these attacks. They will have a player like Virtue just step it up, walk up. I don't know whether it was Astro Stairs or through Bathroom that he came from, but he just crouch walked with Ash into Astro and peeked onto the objective. Like, can you name a more like what face moment that he could really have pulled off? Wildcard, I mean, it's so difficult to try to counter that. They have the Legion, they have Barbed Wire, but is it enough? Doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, well, that's at least the second round now where we've seen Virtue spearhead an attack. He's been refragged immediately both times, but it's just been enough to dislodge Wildcard. And once the pressure starts being applied to them, they seem to be crumbling a little bit.
Especially when Wildcard have 1 or 2 players off-site. As soon as there's that one pick from Fnatic, the rest of Fnatic, they know when that pick's going to happen. They have the forewarning because Virtue says, hey, I'm making a play, I might find a pick in a moment. That's when all of Fnatic start to, charge up the batteries and say, all right, I am absolutely ready to just yeet on into the site like Lusty did when it's needed. Wildcard, they have to play a bit more reactively. They might be a bit slower on that reaction. Really, Fnatic are pulling apart Wildcard right now, and I'm wondering what can Wildcard do to step up a little bit and prevent that from happening. Because if Wildcard stop roaming as much, they sacrifice map control, Fnatic will happily take that. But if they keep roaming a lot, Fnatic is just going to keep pushing the site and refragging them, out-fragging them on the objective.
And I feel like it's one of those games again where the scoreline isn't fully reflective of what it feels like. It feels like, again, Fnatic 4-1 maybe at the moment, or even higher. But it's not. It's 3-2 Wildcard. We're giving them a little bit because they're making silly mistakes and not being reactive enough, but they're still hanging in there.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't be too critical. If they can go 3-3 in the half, there's still a real shot to get the win.
This entire series so far has been a story of the team who's attacking pulling off scenarios that they shouldn't be able to. Wildcard absolutely did that on their attacks of Coastline. And Fnatic now have been doing the same. Is it going to take much time for Wildcard to start to key into that, though? Fnatic's information gathering has been really good on this attack. Wildcard, they haven't been aware of all the Fnatic positions.
Emo Marine in a very critical position here at 90. So many members of Fnatic bearing down on him. He needs to try and waste time, try and get a frag here if he can, but instead he's going to fall back. He has Ethan for support. Probably the wise play in the end. We can see so many drones coming out from Fnatic. They know exactly where those defenders are situated. And there we go. They're going to start pushing up. Specker up at the front, having that ACOG there on the Zofia. We know he loves playing this attacker, but he just peaks at the wrong time. Ethan gets away with his life. That pillar working against him there, and that's super unfortunate for Fnatic.
Both of these teams are playing really frag-oriented right now. I mean, they're playing well around the frags, but the key is finding a pick or not having one of your players get picks, because time and time again, as soon as one of these teams gets a pick or two, the entire round collapses upon them. When Wildcard have the numbers advantage in their defenses, they look so much better, and they absolutely play into that so well. Fnatic are trying to find these early picks, but Wildcard have realized that not contesting on the roam seems to actually be better. They're wasting enough time off of Fnatic, but they haven't lost any players. Now there's 1 minute left, and Fnatic are the ones who have to get into gear.
Exactly right. All 10 members still alive on the map. This is going to be a very crazy execute here. It's going to come down to strong communication skills so they can work out exactly where these players are and take them out. 45 seconds on the board, and they're still all alive. Ethan just sitting in the closet here. What is he doing? This could be a big play here if Fnatic don't take him out. And it doesn't look like they're aware of his position. No, Lusty throwing out the flashes to allow Rizraz to push in, but he doesn't jump in the window. Ethan might have avoided those flashes, but we'll never know. Neo Fighter drops Specker off screen, and Ethan's still in this position. This could be critical if he's able to hold them out.
Wildcard have taken essential ground so late in the round. Virtue can find one, but he gets refragged, and everything finally is going the way of Wildcard. Lusty has something to say about it, though, and you can't count this man out. He's been stepping up so much tonight on the Hibana, bearing 9 in hand. What can he do? Magnet finds one as well. 2 versus 2. Lusty needs to force down this kit, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Surely not. It's a 1 versus 1. He doesn't go for the diffuser, and that's going to be to his detriment as Wildcard just barely scrape away with that round.
Another very, very close round in this matchup. Wildcard coming on top on that occasion as we switch sides. Probably not much of a better way to finish the half, I wouldn't think, Dev, winning a round like that.
Yeah, and you know that the game's getting intense when I look down at my notes and I realize I haven't actually recorded the last 3 rounds because I've been so distracted because the game's been so damn good. It has. This has been engrossing. Yeah, thanks. I'll look at your notes to look at the rest of the rounds because, man, these teams, they don't let up and they don't disappoint. It's tooth and nail. This is, I've run out of phrases to describe this match because it's just so good.
Do you think we could go as far as to say this is probably the closest matchup in ANZ PL?
Yeah, easily. Definitely.
Ever?
Yeah, I think I'm good to say that. ANZ Pro League has never seen a game like this before. And for a long time, ANZ Pro League has been in its developmental stages. We still are. A lot of these teams don't have that international experience, but Fnatic is the only one from ANZ who's made it to those global events. Wildcard, they've played against the APAC teams quite a lot, and they got close to making international. But they really are the team to take a fight to Fnatic. Not just in Pro League, in best of 3s, in our national tournaments. But this really, when it matters so much for both of these teams, that's when neither of these teams let up.
Interestingly enough here, Fnatic once again bringing out the mirror. So Rizraz will be playing it on this occasion. We saw Mirror come out on Coastline. Wildcard similarly not playing her on either map. So a stark contrast there. It seems like Fnatic taking more of a traditional approach with those mirrors, one watching into bedroom, the other towards site. So a little more what we're expected to see, whereas Coastline was a bit crazy.
Yeah, now we are on Wildcard's attack. It begs the question, how aggressive are they going to play? Because we've seen on their previous map, okay, wait, here's a run out. Hold that thought, Dev. Nope, he's not going to go for the run out. He's going to destroy any claymores that are out there, but he doesn't commit to the run out. Maybe a wise choice here. It does keep Wildcard thinking though. In the previous map, it was really Emorin on the attack who was getting the big picks. And as much as I hate to focus on kills, we don't get to see who's droning out what. And that's hugely impactful, who's droning out what. We don't get to see that, so what we can comment on is the picks. And picks have been so important in this game. I don't usually like to say that. I don't want to overemphasize kills. But opening frags have been so essential in this series.
Talking about opening frags, Neophyter a little unlucky not to get one there. He did light up Lusty, but he'll be able to scathe away with about 50 HP down to the bottom of the map. A part of the map that we don't commonly see in play, but Fnatic seemingly utilising it to try and rotate. Halfway through the round, a C4 is going to take out the Zofia, so Ethan feeling sorry for himself, and Specker manages to get that opening frag, such a key thing that you were just mentioning, Dev.
A great pick as well, and it's a real, throwing it in the face of Wildcard, because that was a C4 that Diesel got earlier in the map against the Fnatic. And now Wildcard are in the unenviable position of having the numbers disadvantage, executing onto AVG. Derpa does claw it back a little bit, but we've seen in the past when Wildcard had the numbers advantage on this site when they were defending it, it worked perfectly to their advantage. Oh, it's going to be a full rush in though. Diesel, the first man in the building. He's at 3 speed, so low on HP, and he has a diffuser. He lands a shot with the bearing 9. 3 versus 2. Is there any Plantanar from below? Specker's not going to go for the information gathering. Dirtbear gets taken, and it's just up to Virtue. He's already dead, and Wildcard just pull a Fnatic on us.
Well, you were mentioning earlier around there, Dev, how aggressive a Wildcard going to play, and that just shows it. The full rush in towards the site, Fnatic did not expect that at all, didn't have the angles in place, didn't have anything prepped for it. Wildcard able to capitalize there. They get the first round on their attack, and there could be the snowball effect again. We could see them start to gain some momentum here. Attack being such a challenging aspect of the game. If you can get that first round, it instills a lot of confidence in the team.
Yeah, and the big thing for me about this so far is Wildcard won all of their defenses on Aviator. Fnatic didn't successfully attack that once, and now Wildcard have already done what Fnatic couldn't do in their first round of attack. This tells me that Fnatic have really got to lean on some other bomb sites. And they're going to go to Kitchen next. They're not going to stick around on Aviator. This was a bomb site where Wildcard struggled when they were on the defense. Maybe that's going to turn on its head here for Fnatic. If it doesn't, I'm really worried for Fnatic because they need to have at least one stable bomb site that they can go to and really consistently win rounds.
Yeah, well, when we saw Wildcard jump onto Kitchen, that was unsuccessful in their first and second attempt. Could we see something similar here from the side of Fnatic? If that is the case, they're going to be in a lot of trouble because then Wildcard will be on match point. So they have to be very careful here. I feel like if they do lose this round, they'll probably jump off it. It's probably the safest play.
Yeah, and it's not just the match points that really matter. It's what I call breakaway point, which is when one of the teams is on 5, waiting for that 6th point. Because as soon as you get that 6th point, you guarantee yourself at least one point on the standings, right? It's a minimum a draw. Worst you can do is a draw. Wildcard definitely going to be more ambitious than that. If they only get a draw here, then their victory is out. Their chance of getting to APAC Finals is out of their hands. It'll rely on Fnatic and Oddity not doing as well in their matches on Thursday. So Wildcard are absolutely looking out for a victory here. Flat out, 7-3, 7-4, 7-5. They're the opportunities that Wildcard really need to take with both hands. But looking at Fnatic for a moment, something we didn't discuss during the preparation phase was the Capcan pick. Not an operator we see every day, and a kind of a little bit of a meme in Rainbow Six, but one that has, no joke, been utilized to great effect in pro play. Not often, but it certainly has been there.
Yeah, I think that pick is a direct result of what happened in that previous round. Capcan does have the ability to slow down or even stop complete rushes, which we saw in that previous round. Wildcard now will have to take the time to drone each doorway. Is there a Capcan trap there? If there is, they have to either peek it or use utility to take that out. If you peek the trap, you can be peeked from somewhere else. There's a lot of dynamics that occur when Capcan's on the board, and on top of that, if you just don't see it, you're going to run into it and take damage.
It's a bit strange that they would forego the Legion completely, because in some ways Legion does that role, but kind of better. But I hope for Fnatic that it works out. Both of these teams are ones we've seen use Capcan in the past, but now it's this top floor control that really means everything for Fnatic and Wildcard, for that matter. Ethan's already taken a huge amount of damage. He's not a good player to have on your entry. But it looks like while Fnatic have completely left this top floor, gone back down to the bomb site. It's the same strategy that Wildcard used to great effect when they were defending. Don't lose players on the roam. It's much more important to just delay time and then get back to the bomb site or elsewhere if you're Specker downstairs roaming. Wildcard now need to find some picks, and they'll start that nicely with Neophyter on one. All this soft breach to open up the floor. Great position to be in for Wildcard, but time's ticking.
Time is ticking for sure. Neophyter tries to get aggressive down Astro stairs, doesn't spot anyone. A lot of barbed wire as well for him to contest with, and it looks like they will be taking a bit of a split approach towards the site. Depe goes for a bit of a pop flash, runs in towards the site and gets the kill. Magnet is dropped a fantastic frag there. Neophyter gets stuck in that barbed wire, and Virtue will capitalize. A 3 versus 4 scenario. Capcan off the board now as well. And it's all up to Virtue and Specker.
It's 2v4. Specker can make himself a rotate nearer to the objective, but both of these players have to step up big. They do have some information being gathered, and they'll regroup. Specker and Virtue, name a more iconic duo. But there are players just waiting to receive them. It's Dirtbag going to be the first hurdle, but Virtue's not even going to push that way. Specker will be on his own. Both of these Fnatic players will have to trust on their own aim to take these fights, but he's all out of bullets. Specker gets taken down, just up to Virtue. We've seen some incredible things from him in the past, but he needs to absolutely step it up. Half the timer is gone. One kill's not going to be enough.
Yeah, Virtue with a lot to do there. He's going to need the ace clutch to pull it off. Not only is he a long way from the diffuser, but he has 3 enemies to walk through if he wants to even get to it. Things not looking likely, but he gets the third. Derpe dropped, but the timer has all but run out. And Wildcard, they're going to be 5-3 up now. 2 attacking round wins in a row, Dev. It's got to feel pretty good.
And we still haven't seen Fnatic get comfortable on a bomb site. We still haven't seen a bomb site where Fnatic can consistently win a defense. We haven't seen any bomb site where Fnatic can win a defense full stop. That is a worry. I thought that 3-3 was looking to be a really good half for Fnatic because we've seen a lot of occasions where Villa favors the defense really well. Aviator can be a hard bomb site to take. Statuary can be a hard bomb site to take, but not in this game. These two teams, they're not playing the ANZ meta. If this is your first time watching ANZ Pro League, you might be thinking, oh my god, these teams are like playing ranked. They just walk into the objective. This is not normal. It's like what you see at LAN events. When you watch a Pro League finals event, teams whip out everything they've got. They are desperate. They play for each kill, each round. And it's so different to what evolves in the online meta. We're kind of seeing that here.
Yeah, and I think that's a result of just how closely matched these teams are. There's hardly anything splitting them. It's coming down to, as you mentioned, the micro things. Did he miss the shot by a millimeter? If so, well, he's probably dead. It's the smallest of margins that these teams are playing with. And it looks a little bit sloppy at times, but it's just because of how hard these teams are going and how closely matched they really are.
Yeah, you can have aim, you can have brain, you can have impeccable team chemistry and communication, but if you don't have all of those things all of the time better than your opponent, then you lose. There is no place that you can compromise.
Well, as expected, Fnatic have forfeited Kitchen. They will be heading to Trophy to try and defend that. They don't want to take on the same site twice in a row, which is probably a pretty smart decision.
They're not even trying to take the same site twice at all. Like they're not going back to Aviator. This is new territory for both of these teams. Wildcard haven't attacked this bomb site yet, this map. Fnatic haven't defended it yet. And it was a bomb site that did not work out very well when Wildcard tried it. They only won it once. Is Fnatic going to be able to do it any better?
Look like Fnatic have established quite a heavy hold there on the AVG side of the map, where we see Neophyter at the moment. So looking to extend the control of the map all the way across, something that's really become quite popular among the Pro League teams. They want to establish as much control as possible, extend the site as much as possible. That's the mindset when they set up these defenses, and Wildcard, they're going to need to try and unravel that. I'm expecting Diesel to go there to try and disable that, but instead he's going to head over towards bedroom, which Fnatic may not expect, because as you can see, all 3 members, they're just sitting here waiting.
Fnatic have their bandit as well over in the Aviator room. He's Rizaz is anticipating that Wildcard will try to open up that study wall, as you said, so he wants to bandit trick that, but I think Wildcard have read into that perfectly, and they're going to instead try to get the master wall, which is really just as important, and if he can open some hard breach on that, then that'll be hugely impactful. Oh, great job. A Nomad charge together with the Claymore gets 1 free pick. This could be a 2nd free pick. And Derpa doesn't even get traded. This is such a good position to be in for Wildcard. Fnatic desperately trying to get back to the bomb site now. We'll need to see some big plays in order to equalize this scenario. Otherwise, Wildcard will guarantee themselves minimum a draw.
Yeah, Fnatic forced to try and rotate towards the site. Lusty gets one, Diesel gets another, but Neofighter manages to get one onto Magnet. Ethan follows it up onto Riz. And there we go, Wildcard take round number 9 quite convincingly, completely throwing off the Fnatic setup. They had absolutely no chance to retake that one.
That was a perfect read, and using the pistol at the end, adding insult to injury, what? Wildcard look so good right now. I was expecting, we called it. How many times did we call this is going to be a 6-6 draw? Like, this is neck and neck, but as soon as we switch on to Wildcard's attack, they don't give Fnatic anything. And you cannot understate how important this is for Fnatic right now. If Fnatic slip up against Sinister, who is a team that has showed some really good promise, on Thursday, Fnatic, if they drop points, they might not make it to APAC Finals. If you don't make it to APAC Finals, you can't qualify for Pro League Finals in Tokoname. If you don't make it to APAC Finals, it's a lot harder to qualify for Six Invitational next year. Fnatic always are riding on those international, global opportunities at LAN events. And that's something that's slipping away right now.
Things looking very dangerous at the moment. Fnatic need to win 3 rounds in a row just to draw and salvage 1 point here. And they're yet to win 1 point at all on their defense. They don't feel safe on any of the bomb sites. They reverted back to Kitchen. They went there on their first defense. It was unsuccessful. So they'll be still thinking about that in the back of their heads. How can they improve on that unsuccessful defense? There we go. Derpe and Lusty, both on 11 kills each.
This has really changed a lot since map number 1 as well, where Imorin was the player for Wildcard who was scraping away rounds that shouldn't have happened. And now he's sitting comfy on the bottom of the scoreboard, not trying to have a go at him at all. The rest of his team has absolutely stepped up. And this is such a different map to what we saw on Coastline. Despite it being neck and neck in the first half, Wildcard seemed to be on a steam train that doesn't... it's not stopping at any station.
I think this is the time where one of these Fnatic players need to step up. Will it be Virtue? We saw him step up in map number 1. Maybe Specker. He only just joined the team recently, but someone needs to step up. They're all just going through the motions at the moment. They need someone to inspire the team. Something big needs to happen here. Otherwise, Fnatic are really staring down the barrel of a defeat here.
We can't understate the pressure that puts on Wildcard as well. This is a team that crumbled under pressure last week and lost out to Oddity, who are sitting at the top of the Pro League standings. If Wildcard let that pressure get to them and they can't seal the deal against Fnatic, that might be them saying goodbye to APAC Finals. But they do have a bit of a buffer here. They just got to take it slow. They know how to play the game. It's not about that anymore. It's about getting into the right mindset.
Yeah, so many of these rounds have seen 10 members alive until the dying seconds, and the last 3 of those have been favourable towards Wildcard, so they're not going to be too upset that they haven't got a pick yet. They just need to convert on towards the side. It looks like they are establishing decent control above here as Neofighter pushes through the bathroom. He'll be able to hold the top of Astro here, and no one will be able to rotate up there. Seemingly Fnatic rotating back towards the site. There is one down towards Ethan Lusty on the Mozzie. Couple of weird positions being held here. Virtue as well over a far way away from that objective.
When it comes down to this site push, if the defenders are low on players, that's really when they struggle. At least that's been the story for this map. So Wildcard really need to find these picks through the floor, and I think that's why Fnatic are starting to play in these unsuspecting positions instead of being close to that bomb site. Oh, hello! Neofighter, surely he punishes Magnet there, he does. That is not a good start for Fnatic, but Wildcard need more picks if they want to make this complete. Fnatic do have a player on this flank, it's Specker on the Valkyrie. He could make this work. Derpe looks completely unawares. And he's going to get taken out. There you go, a good pick for Specker. He has this top floor now contested. Imorin's got to worry about that, but there's only 30 seconds.
30 seconds on the board, but Wildcard, they've made their way in towards Kitchen. Rizraz needs to try and deny this entry, but there's so many crossfires set up to deny him of that position. And there we go. Diesel flicks around and will get the shot onto him. He'll go for the plant. A long 7 seconds here. Wildcard will be sweating it. They need to cover it. Lusty coming in with the flank. He is unable to deny the plant. Virtue, meanwhile, gets near-fired, and it's a 3 versus 3. The C4 from Lusty picks up a kill, but he gets refragged. It's now a 2 versus 2. Imorin and Ethan. Ethan now left with it all to do as Specker gets a C4 kill. Virtue alongside him will need to get something done here. Ethan has full HP though, and the ACOG, he gets one onto Specker. It's a 1 versus 1. Virtue, we know him as the clutch king. Can he get one more here for Fnatic? Probably the biggest one of the season so far. He must hit this shot, but he's seemingly unaware of his position. No, he gets the kill through the wall. Ethan looks around at the wrong time, and Fnatic, they'll stay alive for one more round.
How does that... How does Virtue do that? Every time. Every time we write it off. Every time we're seeing it calling GG in the chat. No, that didn't actually happen. But man, I would have been so close to calling it right there. And yet, Virtue, you can't count the round done until Virtue is dead and out of the server. We're still on match point, but Fnatic being able to bounce back from a scenario like that, a 2 versus 4, retaking, that's exactly what they need. That's the kind of confidence booster that helps them to step up again. Wildcard, they still have 2 rounds of buffer. Or I guess 1 round of buffer now, right? But if they can repeat what they just did to take that bomb site away from Fnatic, it's certainly going to look good for them. They always need to be able to close the deal, though. Can't let Virtue steal it away from you again like he did on map 1. It was only Virtue that stood between Wildcard and the 3-point victory on map number 1. And Virtue got a 1 versus 3 clutch.
I feel like we're going to get to the stage where teams are going to harvest Virtue's DNA just to recreate him. He's that good. He's just a machine.
Can we genetically engineer more players based on Virtue's DNA?
Got a 5 stack of Virtues out there.
Why not, man? Do it. I mean, what a story for Virtue as well. He came from PlayStation, and he was a competitive player there, but he transitioned. He very quickly joined a top team. He joined his first ever team that he joined. They came 3rd in the Pro League. And after that, he joined a team that was doing even better in the Pro League. And after that, he joined one of the biggest organizations in the world. What a story for that player, that modest little player from PS4.
Do you reckon he smiled when he hit that clutch? Probably not.
Does he show emotion?
No, he's just a robot. Yeah. That's how he hits the shots, Dev.
We'll have to check whether it's legal to have robots playing in your games in the ESL rulebook.
Meanwhile, though, we are heading into round number 11. And
the thing that I wonder about, like, we're talking about that clutch. Wildcard are the ones who lost it. What does that do to you right now? Fnatic have finally got a victory on a bomb site in their belt. Wildcard have to step up now. Fnatic trying new things with the mute jammers. It's not easy here for Wildcard.
Yeah, I like the mute jammer pick. It's going to create even more doubt of the minds in the Wildcard players, especially coming off, as you mentioned, a little bit of a throw in the previous round that's already going to be playing on their minds a little bit. And yeah, those mute jammers, not only is it slowing them down, it's just making them think a little bit more. Where are these Fnatic players? Are they flanking us? Could they be hiding in one of these weird positions that we saw them do on the previous map? Just creating doubt in the mind, and mindset such a big part of this matchup.
We've also seen really good utilization of the C4s from Fnatic in the past. Getting an impact pick onto a player like Emo could honestly make such a difference. Emo needs to take out that Evil Eye. Frag Grenade should do it unless it falls down the hatch. I think it did take out the Evil Eye. Perfect job. And a C4 with not enough information does miss. Ethan's now going to hunt Specker downstairs. Wildcard have just over a minute to make this happen, but Fnatic still have 5 players alive.
Yeah, I feel like Specker probably could have saved his C4 there for later in the round. He's not really coming under too much pressure at the moment. Throwing away some pretty critical utility could have been used to deny the plant, but either way, Fnatic will have to adapt to that. A minute left in the round as the wall in towards Vault will get opened by the Hibana. I don't believe it's been denied, so there we go, an angle for Neofighter to peek through. And that's just going to squeeze Fnatic closer back towards the site. Neofighter takes a little bit of damage as he gets overzealous on the peak. But he's done enough to just trap those players inside of the vault.
Will we see that rush in that we've seen? That signature rush into the bomb site with multiple players. It's happened time and time again. 30 seconds left. This is when push comes to shove. Irizraz finds one. Specker as well. This could be everything Fnatic needs, and now they'll play passive. They know that Wildcard are on the back foot. It'll have to be a huge mega play from Wildcard to get back into this game, but it doesn't look like it's possible at all. Derp and Diesel, no, make it just Derp, make it nothing. We're going the full 12 rounds. It looked like you had us there for a minute, Wildcard, but Fnatic aren't going to say goodnight just yet.
Fnatic not letting this go without a fight. And we're going to see, as he mentioned, another 12 rounds. So 24 rounds being played by these teams tonight. An absolute marathon effort across 2 maps. Coastline was a draw, of course, and Villa could well be the same here if Fnatic can keep this momentum rolling. They will be defending trophy by the looks of things, and they are yet to do that successfully.
It has been a mega effort so far from Fnatic to stay in the game. They wouldn't be here if they hadn't seen Virtue clutch 2 rounds. They would have already lost on map 1, and they would have already lost on map 2 if Virtue hadn't clutched 1 round on each map. And now, as you said, heading to trophy statuary. They haven't won it yet. They have tried it before, but what they did on their defensive half, Fnatic, they tried Aviator, lost it, tried Kitchen, lost it, tried Statuary, lost it, and then they revisited all those bomb sites that they'd already lost, and they started to get the wins. They've already tried this bomb site once, and their adaptability is really what's helping them here. They're starting to understand how Wildcard play. The last time Wildcard attacked this bomb site, Fnatic was so preoccupied with the opposite side of the map. And Wildcard completely focused in on master bedroom control and cut off Fnatic on the retake. It was perfect, but that's not going to work twice against Fnatic. They know what you're doing now.
Yeah, Fnatic, momentum on their side, but pressure would not have been alleviated whatsoever. Wildcard as well under the pump, so both teams really starting to feel it now. The final round that we're going to see this evening in this matchup, and a massive one nonetheless. Magnet trying to get this Evil Eye onto the statue. There we go. No, we have seen the Evil Eyes have some impact so far. It's been a little bit hard to follow in terms of how much damage they're outputting, but I'm sure there'd be a lot of intel gathering on the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, and no doubt, you know, these clutches and things wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for that information gathering.
That's an interesting barricade.
Yeah, I think it's just to slow things down for Fnatic. Both of these teams on their attacks have been super aggressive. So even a wooden barricade does give you an extra second or 2.
Talking about wasting time, those Mozzie traps as well, proving to be a little bit difficult. Neo did use the EMP to get rid of it, but the drone was taken out quickly nonetheless. As it appears, Rizraz will try and juggle this wall, and as you were just mentioning, delaying time, critical here if Rizraz is able to do that. Looks like he will fall off the wall, but he's going to come in and try and get it potentially. Emo Ring could nade him though if he isn't careful, and there we go, Riz is going to play passive. Oh. The Habana will go out, but was that an impact from below potentially?
I don't see any players below, but surely that was an impact grenade. Maybe Magnet landed it all the way back. I think that's probably what we saw. No, Magnet's got barbed wire, never mind.
Okay.
I have no idea what we just saw. Maybe it was an accident and the... I don't know. Maybe the frag grenade destroyed it? Hard to say, but it's still not out for Wildcard. Surely they have 2x Kairos left. But a double C4 for Lusty. That's exactly what Fnatic need. Wildcard just have 1 player left, and before it even starts, it's over? How does that happen? We see 2 draws tonight between Fnatic and Wildcard. I mean, we're in the middle of the round, and then Fnatic says, actually, I've had enough fun. No more playing around. That's the end of the game.
Yeah, I was critical of that wooden barricade earlier in the prep phase, but it turned out to be probably the best barricade I have ever seen. That was amazing. The C4 coming out, secure Fnatic 1 point. Probably not what they wanted, but better than a loss.
2 points all up for each of these teams tonight, which doesn't move